Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the launch of Quirky Quick Guide to Having Great Sex. I've got a copy of it right over here, and I believe we all have our copy, by Tiffany Kagure Mugo, and that's the book we're launching this evening. My name is Dr Tlaleng. I'm the editor of the reading list, and we are hosting this event tonight with Kwela Books. The Quirky Quick Guide to Having Great Sex is published by Kwela, a division of NB Publishers, and it's available now at all major bookstores and probably most minor bookstores, and as an ebook. So if you're into your Kindle, your Kobo, you can get it as an ebook as well, I believe. The book is a guide to all things sex and sexuality. It busts myths and it'll upgrade the knowledge you already have. And it's basically just the ultimate tool to help elevate your sex life. So we really recommend you go out and get a copy if you haven't already. The top story on the reading list website at the moment is an excerpt from the book, 15 Tips for Happy, Healthy Sex. So if you haven't got your hands on a copy of the book yet, go to readinglist.click and you can dip into it there while we're chatting if you like. This evening, Tiffany, the author of the book, will be in competition. Oh wait, I'm getting an echo. Why am I getting an echo? Sorry, guys. It stopped. Right. Tiffany will be in conversation with Dr Tlaleng Mofokeng, who most of us know as Dr. T. Dr. T is a broadcaster and writer. She's the founder of the Nalane for Reproductive Justice, which is a sexual and reproductive health and rights consultancy. She was recently appointed the United Nations Special Rapporteur on the Right to Health. And I hope I've pronounced that fancy French word correctly. She's also the author of her own book, Dr. T, A Guide to Sexual Health and Pleasure, which was a bestseller, and I believe it's having its book birthday this week. So it was launched this time last year. And we also highly recommend that. So those are two books to add to your sexual health bookshelf. This evening, after the conversation, we'll be having an audience Q&A to finish off the launch. So please leave your questions as comments wherever you're watching, Facebook or YouTube, or you can even add us on Twitter at readinglist_, and I'll read out your questions at the end of the launch. So, whatever questions you have, and I'm sure there will be many, please just save them as comments and we'll get to them at the end of the launch. Without further ado, I'll hand over to Dr. T and enjoy the conversation.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Hello, Tiff. Hey, flowers, honey. These are yours. I will keep them safe. Congratulations.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy I'm here with you.
I'm so excited.
Now. I'm coming
and
down.
I'm so proud of you. So firstly, I just want you to take in this moment because it's so important. It's so special for both of us. And I think for me, when we met a few years ago, I could have never imagined that we would be sitting in a quarantine period in August 2020, celebrating milestones for both our books on sex.
Right? Look at you.
So just for that, right? We're winning. And
we are winning.
Yeah, we're winning. And today, today is your night. Tonight is your night. You are celebrating your brand new book, Quirky Quick Guide to Having Great Sex. Now, everyone wants to know the basic stuff, right? Why a book and why now?
Okay, so it has been like all these years of all this knowledge and all this stuff and writing blogs and going on podcasts and everything. But then, you just sometimes have to just put it all in one thing, right? And I feel because it had been 10 years, I'm like, you know what? Why not? Why not? Because people ask so many random questions. How people ask random questions, right? How people are always sliding into the DMs, always being like, what about this? What about that? So I was just like, you know what? A book, just let the book live. Let it be.
Yeah. And I was quite fascinated by the structure of your book. I mean, I remember you asking me the one time, oh, let's just have a talk and sip the tea on sexual health. I'm like, what? Why? You know? And then you were like, okay, I'm writing a book. And I see that, I mean, one of the first conversations, of course, is with you and me. But you also have conversation in the book with other amazing, fabulous people. Do you want to tell me a little bit about how you decided on the structure of the book? Because you have a lot of health information, you have amazing tips on sex, which we'll definitely get to. But just the structure of the book, what made you go with this style of writing?
So I literally don't know anything else. Like, let me not act like I was like sat there and I was like, oh, I have this array. I literally only know how to talk to people like fam, sis, queen, bro. Let me tell you. So in terms of like finding all the other people for the book, it's just people who I felt do amazing work, right?
Mhm.
And people who I was like, look, I know I have gaps in my knowledge, and I'm not going to pretend and flex like I know everything. Like, I know a little bit about kink, but I am not a kinkster. I don't have a penis, so I don't know what it's like for a penis to be flaccid. So that's kind of how I picked everything. And because I picked friends because I'm like, this needs to feel like your friend is talking to you. So
Mm.
I'm going to get my friends to talk to me. And that is basically how like I picked it. In terms of the structure, editors and the publishers are like, this one must come next. And I'm like, but I wanted to, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I'm flex. Like, when I wrote it as a series of like small standalone pieces. And
Mhm.
then it was a case of like weaving it all together and figuring out the like flow. And I had like my amazing publisher who was like, maybe try this and then this and then this. But yeah, so that's how it all came about.
Okay, so go to your book now on page 13, right? If everyone just joined now, we're busy with Tiffany and we're discussing her fabulous new book, A Quick Guide to Having Great Sex. So you're going to read for us on page 13. And
Mhm.
why we starting there, it's because one thing about your book is about sex positivity, right? Demystifying. I mean, that came through quite a lot, like demystifying sex, destigmatizing sex. And because of the work of the book, we end up with this sex positive outlook on our bodies and our sexual experiences. So I just want you to read on page 13 about Sex Positivity 101. Is it just all about having wild sex? Spoiler, no. So you can carry on.
So should I start from like the very beginning? Okay.
Please.
So sex positive, it's a noun. Uh, that is, yeah, a noun. An attitude towards human sexuality that regards all consensual sexual activities as fundamentally healthy and pleasurable, encouraging sexual pleasure and experimentation. The sex positive movement also advocates for comprehensive sex education. Thank you, fam, for that. You know, I see you, baby. And safe sex as part of its campaign. Should I continue?
Yes.
Okay. Sex positivity is seen as something that is simply wild and sexy or super scary to some. What does it mean that people are actively and openly engaging with sex? The world must be ending, degenerating into an endless orgy that no one will escape from. This is not true. Sex positivity means different things to different people, but comes down to one core concept: having a healthy relationship with sex, no matter what form it comes in. Being sex positive is about helping people have the sex lives that work best for them.
Thank you, honey. That's beautiful. That's just stunning.
I
And
mean,
you know that we've been at the sex positive pleasurable experiences train for many years, right? And you were on Hola, which is an beautiful affirming queer space, for Black women and of all various, gender and sexual orientations. And I find that it's interesting that you start off the book, right, with just establishing that. And what stands out for me is the consensual sexual activities are fundamentally healthy and pleasurable. I think that is just a wonderful quotable. And it leads me to the next conversation that we had, which features in the book about, sipping the tea on good sex. Um, and you say that consent is the bedrock to building strong, intimate, sexual, and romantic relationships. It's about being able to choose what kind of experiences we enter into with other people without agreeing to do these things only in order to avoid a negative consequence. Why was it important for you to locate the discussion around sexual pleasure, healthy relationships, and using consent as the bedrock?
So consent, like the way you say, it is the bedrock, and it's something that a lot of people don't get taught, right? And whenever people do get taught about consent, it's in a very, very basic way, like it's a yes or a no. But like when you take consent further, and I learned this from Kinksters. God bless Kinksters. Any Kinksters out there, I love you because you're just wise. So I learned this from your Kinksters that when you have consent, it's not just a yes and a no, but it's a I want this and I want that. And it begins to build a bigger narrative and a bigger conversation about like the things you like in bed. So it's almost like getting like the building blocks and the small tools and then taking it further and further and further. And in terms of like being able to take it further and like really upgrade your life, you have to understand consent. And by understanding consent, you then understand conversations, because really all of this is about conversations, right? And even consent is a conversation. The yes and no, the up and down, the left and right, the lick me here, the don't touch me there. When like you're like no to the left, please. So like all of that and all of that comes with consent, right? And that's why it has to be at the core of everything and just like seeping into everything.
I like that so much. And I think, it reminds me of sort of like my mantra, like there's no sexual pleasure without consent. That's literally like the beginning of everything. And I love what you said, that good sex or getting good at sex is a marathon and not a sprint.
Fam, take your time.
I was like, yes. Thank you, because I know, like climbing on some chandelier, I ain't doing none of that. Like, no. But I love that so much. Getting good at sex is a marathon and not a sprint. And I'll tell you why I like it. A lot of people, especially, when you are sort of an older adult and you realize how much bad sex you've been having, they then just want this magic. Because now I know I haven't been having the best sex life ever. I want to have it right now, all of it today. And it's like it takes time, because you need to explore yourself and then be able to then explain to your partner what you like and what you don't like. So just tell me about this idea of getting good at sex not being a marathon. Well, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah. So like it's like the way part of the reason I wrote this book is because people will hear me speak about sex, or they'll see me write about something, and they'll want like that golden tip, that one thing that I can fit in a tweet, essentially. So like I've gotten so many Facebook messages, so many Instagram messages, and I'm like, you legitimately think I can fix your sex life in an Instagram post? Like,
right?
No. So like I think with me it was a case of, and this is also my personal journey, where not only did it take a lot of time to become sex positive alone, right? But then also to learn all the bits and pieces that could come with it, right? All the bits and pieces that could come with sex. And even after writing a whole damn book, right? I'm still like, I discovered something new that I like this week alone. This week. I've had time to write a book. I've had time to think. But like when you think about it as a sprint, then you think that you can learn everything and then do everything. But you don't understand that there's so much more. Like everything can be upgraded. Even something as like quote unquote simple as missionary can like be done in so many different ways, can be added so many different things. And if you just take the time to be like, look, there might be something else, or we can perfect this thing, or I must just chill and like understand my body. Like there are so many things when it comes to having sex that you can't learn it all in one go. I cannot just tweet you and now suddenly you're like a connoisseur of coitus and you know the things. Like
what? A connoisseur of coitus.
Yes, like people out here trying to get like in a tweet. I'm like,
love it. Love it. You also speak about, the fact that condoms, internal, external condoms, and you talk about putting them on properly. A lot of people get turned off when we then move this sex positivity to the issue of condoms. They always look at it like, oh, okay, consent is one, but like condoms is definitely the second. Like, oh no, but now you're taking the fun out of everything. But why was it important for you to include this? Because it is part of sexual health information in terms of condoms and talking about them, to enhance pleasure.
So well done for being here, because now you can just throw the prop right at your face and be like, the reason I actually spoke about that was when you remember you had that gathering where you gathered med students and you were trying to like talk to them about their sexual health and everything, right? And like you were like, look, pleasure is a really big part of sexual health. And I remember listening to you speaking and listening to how the way that pleasure, the way that sex is spoken about in those two different ways, which I also include in the book. So like I remember listening to you and thinking that this is still such an important conversation, even though something like putting on a condom is Googleable. Like you were here, a whole doctor being like, look, fam, you need to have these open and honest conversations with people. And I'm like, if this is still being discussed within like these spaces where you're like, you have to have this conversation, I was like, it has to be in there. And then also when it also came about, like, so I saw you and you like saw you that day and you spoke about it. I'm like, okay, look, if like one of my mentors is saying this thing, then I must be better, right? And I must like actually include this. And then later on, there was a conversation about, somebody putting on a condom inside out. And I was like, somebody was like, yeah, so I once put on a condom inside out. I was like, fam, no.
Wait.
In the year of our Lizzo 2020, no, fam. Like, why are you like this, right? So it was one of those things where I was just like, I have to include it. And also it would have felt like wildly reckless to have, an entire book being like, do this and do that and do this and do that, and not say that, look, actually, sexual health really is at the core of all this. Like same way with the consent thing. If I hadn't had the consent chapter, it would have been wildly reckless of me. And like, I don't want to get canceled. No one's trying to get canceled.
You know what I love about also that part on safer sex about the condoms, and for anyone who has the copy or the ebook, it's on page 62 and 63. You actually give a guide in terms of the commonly sort of said things to dissuade people from using condoms, and you give direct responses to that. And I think it's so important because sometimes people just feel it in their gut that I don't think this is great or I don't agree with this, but they just don't know like how to reply. So I love this that you say as an example that, but I'm clean and disease free. Don't you trust me? And it's such a common thing when people bring up the issue of condoms, especially in sort of established, relationships. And I love this answer that you give. I do trust you, but sometimes people can have STIs and not know it. In fact, quite a few people do. Using protection means we can take care of us both. I love that. I love that so much.
And I love you. And I love you.
And it's really so helpful, especially because, and I know that it says for adults, right? I don't know what the age, cutoff is, but I know that younger. Carry on.
Oh, wait, sorry, love. You know the internet is not loyal. No, what were you saying? I missed the last bit of what you're saying. The internet is so unloyal.
No problem. So I was just saying that it says it is for adults, right? But I know that younger people will be finding interest in this book. And I know particularly for younger people, to sum up the courage, right, to have this discussion can be quite daunting. So I was just saying that I love, some of the answers that you give to the commonly said stuff around condoms and condom use. Have you actually experienced some of these difficulties? Because I know some of these things, they can be personal, not all of them. But have you actually had to navigate some of these challenges?
Yeah. So full disclosure, I have been in a monogamous monogamous-ish, story for another day, relationship for a long time. So the idea of condom use was not something that was at the forefront of my mind. But back in the day, like there was that whole idea of like, but we're seeing each other and it's just you and me. And it had been like a month. And I'm like, but it's been a month. And I did. And the sad thing is, because I was a lot younger, I did let them not use a condom because I was just like, look, they say that we're together. They say that we're monogamous. They say that this, they say that that. And, I'm like, fine. And I think it was one of those things. What really triggered this in the book was hearing like my younger cousins' experiences. Like a lot of my younger cousins, a lot of like, younger people that I know, and being like, wait, but you guys are out here and having these really shady conversations, right? And people are being really shady about condom use. And we're not talking about the fact that there is this shadiness about condom use and how people are like pulling huge stunts in order to not use condoms, despite the fact that we know, STDs and STIs and everything. And I saw this really great TikTok where somebody was like, we have a week of COVID and everyone is wearing masks, but we know the history of STDs and STIs and no one wants to wear a condom.
No, drag us.
Bruh, I was just like, hey, wow, I feel personally attacked. I don't know why, but I feel personally attacked by that TikTok.
I also put that stray. I'm sorry.
I was like, ooh, okay. But like, I felt it was so important to have it in the book and to have like, the back and forth. And obviously the list is not exhaustive. That's not every single like, shady thing that somebody will say, but at least that there are shady things that people are saying. But you're just like, no, fam, no.
So here's the next part that I really loved. I actually chuckled at this. Monogamy, polygamy, polyamory, or single on a Saturday. Different ways of relationshiping. They sound like you're dropping some bars. There's like a track now. Monogamy, polygamy, polyamory, or single on a Saturday. And then you speak about the friend zone. I'm like, okay. And then you like, of course, drag the people. And you say people are not sex vending machines.
No, they're not. They're not, fam. Like this whole thing where you're playing the long con. Like I always think of it as the long con, where you're like, where I come up to you and I'm like, yeah, so let's meet at Tasha's. Let's do this. Let me drive you home. No. And then one day you're like, so are we having sex? But fam. And it leads back to that idea of consent, right? So like much as I'm dragging people because I'm like, it's a long con, it leads back to that idea of consent where I'm like, you think that you can basically, mentally mess with my mind enough for me to be like, I now see you as a sexual partner. And I think like for me, the friend zone is just because I've been friend zoned and I have been the friend zoner. And like outside of the fact that it's shady as all hell, like it's a lot emotionally. And have you seen, I don't know if you've seen these shows where somebody is friends with somebody for 2 years and then they take them on TV, TV to be like, I like you. No. And like now you've thrown 2 years of our friendship out of the window because how are we supposed to bounce back from that? How?
Hey, you know what, my sister, you're talking about very important things here. Like, and and you also, I mean, it's a lot. And so how do we negotiate relationships then? Like, do we when I start catching feelings, you may have friend zoned me, but I mean, doesn't mean I'm gonna stop liking you. So now what must happen?
So like, I think for me, it's a huge thing to be honest, right? Because like one of the things with the quote unquote friend zone is people aren't honest. So like they'll see you and they'll be like, I like you. But they won't tell you because they'll be like, look, let me just be nice. Let me do this. Let me do that. And then, suddenly sex will fall out. I'll put enough friendship coins and sex will fall out. Right. But like now, if you're honest, so like even if you were initially friends, my whole thing is be honest. If you catch feelings, just be like, either tell yourself, look, nothing is going to come of this because I want to maintain the friendship. So I'm just gonna, because same way you can catch feelings, you can lose feelings, guys. Like that's another thing we need to let go of. Like once you catch feelings, they're forever. Please, no, they're not forever. Like no, ma'am. So like you can either catch feelings.
You're correct. You're correct. It feels like you're serving medicine, and I'm like, I don't like the taste of it, but I know it's good for me, so I'll just drink some. So you know what I love? It's a section on.
No, it's deep. It's deep.
So you talk about soft serve, right? Enjoying erection-free sex. So refreshing. I love even how like you've titled that chapter. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this idea of erection-free sex? And I think for me, I'm a bit biased because I see some activism in there and I don't want to impose it on you or like project it onto you. But I wonder, I mean, the way that you've titled this, is it deliberate? And yeah, just tell us more.
So with the erection-free sex vibe, that is actually Tapiwa. That was one of one of my contributors, who's amazing, and he's a very heterosexual, very like loving him some. I'm not sure what words I'm allowed to say on this live, so I'm a bring myself, and like he's actually the one who came up with that. Who he wrote the title, he wrote the chapter, and for him it was very important. And I think there was some politicism in it, where it was a case of like looking at the idea of penis-centered sex, right, and like expanding what that idea. Are we on the same page, ne? It's okay.
Yeah.
I got you, boo. I got you. Don't worry. So like expanding that idea of penis-free sex and looking outside of that just like small box that we put ourselves in, where sex is erect, hard, large penis in vagina. And then after that, there is nothing before and there is nothing after. It is biblical in nature, right? So I think for him it was very, very important to have that chapter where it's like, no, actually, even if you're not doing other things, the penis can still be a thing to have sex when like the penis is not erect. The sex does not end. The sex is not a fail. Like you're not like now like a social pariah because you did not have like erection, like a big powerful erection. And I think weirdly enough that is something a lot of men need to hear, because I think a lot of our body positivity and stuff centers around women, like love yourself, lube, and this, and your vagina, and this. But like no one tells men, you know what, when you don't have an erection, it's really okay. Like it'll really be fine. The sun will still rise, the wind will still blow, there's still oxygen, trees are still growing. Calm down. It's fine. And so I think that there was something really important about that chapter. And I'm so grateful. Like that was one of the things where I'm like, look, I have a blind spot because, as a queer woman, I don't know those things a lot sometimes. So I was just like, look, fam, can you make a plan? And Tapiwa came through so hard, and we love him.
I love that. I always say that, the same way that we talk about sex positivity for women, right? We need to talk about it for men as well. And the issue of erections particularly, I like to talk about the fact that not every erection needs a vagina to be inserted into. You can also just have an erection and have it and it will go down and nothing has to happen, So I love that a lot. The fact that you've tried to, to decenter this erect penis, from the discussion of pleasurable sex. Because like you say, and I'm just thinking now of so many other different health or medical reasons, right? Why people may actually struggle from time to time with erections and how much stress and strain that can cause, in relationships. So I really appreciated that as well. And moving on to a little bit more of heat. Yeah. So you speak on page 114, if you have your book close by.
I do. 114. Okay, I'm nearly there.
Yeah. Please, I need to read this in your voice. So please go ahead.
Wait, from where? The script. Okay.
Yeah, from the script and up to and some great juices. So for everyone who's joining us, we are reading from a quirky quick guide to having great sex. And Tiffany is going to indulge us with reading on page 114.
Because I'm going to read good. Okay, so the script says sex is about penis in vagina. A man has a penis and puts it into the vagina and sex happens. When it is time to do the nasty, the general idea is that masculinity dominates sex and femininity gets dominated. This is an idea that knows no race, no gender, nor sexual orientation. The problem with this is that it's not true, and we lose out on a whole bunch of delicious and exciting sexual acts if we accept it uncritically. Often we are scamming ourselves when we stay within these really strict guidelines on how to have sex. Because I am not a man, I cannot. Or because I am a woman, I cannot. Or because I am a bottom, I cannot. It's like when people say I can't have cocktails because I'm strictly a beer drinker, which I'm strictly a wine drinker. So I was dragging myself too in this part, right? And there are some really great cocktails out there, and some decent beers, and some great glasses of wine, and some great juices.
I love
Yeah.
that.
There's some
Love
great
it.
drinks out there, baby. Some great drinks.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. And it speaks so much about these boxes and expectations, right? And we always talk about the script that often women have to play into to still be seen as good women, even though they are having sex, right? And I love how you speak about, because I'm a woman, I cannot, or because I'm a man, I cannot. And how does this play out in sort of when we think about relationships beyond just a man and a woman? Because we know even with gender identity, there's more to it than just men and women. Am I right about reading this in that manner, that you were opening it up to actually make a statement about the fact that even within the genders, we need to think beyond, carrying out these very strict scripts into our bedrooms and actually just be truly liberated and not just, saying it, but truly think about what it means, masculine, feminine, presenting, even in queer relationships.
So, like with that, I think because a lot of this book is me trying to teach myself and me trying to be better. Because as you can see, I'm kind of femmy, right? I got the earrings on, I got the boobs out, like it's a whole thing. And my partner is kind of a little more masculine. So for like the longest time, it was a case of like I was what they call in the queer community a pillow princess.
Uh-huh.
Where like pleasure must come here, right? And pleasure must come here, and I will receive, and somebody else is more dominant and stuff like that. And it's also been a journey, right? Breaking down those things. And it spills out into so many places. Like in the chapter, I talk about how straight men should try pegging, right? And every single time I bring that up, uproar. I've had men leave the room. They're like, nope, clearly you don't know what you're talking about anymore. They're like, we were here when you were giving us tips on head. We were here when you were giving us like tips on like reverse cowgirl. But now that you said I must do, and a woman must wear a strap on, and what? Like suddenly they're like, nope, we don't want your knowledge. And I'm like, I can give you article after article. I can put you in contact with men who are like, it's amazing, and it does not change their sexuality. So I think yeah, it's been an unlearning process. Hey, like all of us, I think there's so much to unlearn because there's so much sex. Like the way we were saying at the top of this, like it's a marathon. There's so much sex to have out there and discover. And sure, not all of it will be for you. I'm not saying that everything you try will be for you, but try it. Like undo those gender roles and just try it.
And now you say that, the stuff you say about tantric sex, I was like, So you explain tantric sex as that sex where you hold on an orgasm in your coochie for 2 days and must know at least 4 yoga poses in order to even start speaking about it. I was like, okay, we need some 101 class, but COVID is, it's not allowing us. But I felt like, okay, this is I need a demonstration, and it felt so delicious. Like you wrote about it in a way I'm like, yeah, I want to feel that. Tell me why it was important to include issues around tantric sex. You've spoken about pegging, which actually isn't even kinky, but people could push it to that edge, and kink, like outright kink and bondage and all of those things. Why was it important for you to talk about it? Because I know even on your blogs and on Holla, you have been like the queen, like everyone comes to you to ask about these, and just tell me a little bit more about tantric sex and pegging and bondage and whips, because it sounds delicious. The sex where you hold an orgasm for 2 days.
It is all. So the reason I included all of those like different chapters and different things, and especially tantric sex, because tantric sex that was a very me thing, right? Because I actually want to get into tantric sex. So like it was one of those things where it's like, okay, cool, let me learn about this, because I'm in my mind first, and everyone's heard so many things about tantric sex. So like it was a case of like finding out and speaking, and like my partner helped a lot. whole other thing. It's fine. So it was important for me to like include different types of sexual experiences. So like a buffet, you can figure out what you want, like figure out what you want to eat, where you want to go. Like you could find that you like only tantric sex, or as a lot of people tend to find, like they like kink. People really like kink, hey? Like a lot. People really like kink. So it was so important to like include all those chapters so people could find what they needed to find. Because that was the point of the book. Like try everything and eventually you'll find something that's for you, hopefully. And if you don't, shoot, let's write another book. Let's try again. Like we're waiting for your second book, doctor. We're waiting for the second book.
Yeah, we're waiting for your second book too. So and I love what you said about there's a big part of tantric sex that is based in spiritual enlightenment. And for some people, I think that's what draws them in. And for some people, that's what actually scares them, right? It's the idea that sex is very spiritual, and there are possibilities, right, to go either way, the good and the bad. And do you find that people ask you questions on this a lot? And I found it quite interesting that you put it here. And it was like, yeah, actually, this is quite serious. And perhaps maybe, you know, unless you feel safer in your relationship or with the people you have in sex with, you may actually not want to try some of these things out because it can feel so daunting and you feel vulnerable. I think that's the word. It's vulnerable.
So, like, weirdly enough, people don't ask about tantric sex a lot. It seems to be one of those things, those mythical nirvana things where once you are incredible at sex in general, then you can try. Like no one's going to go for a PhD before they've got like their undergrad, right? So I think that's where people like approach tantric sex from. And even actually quite a lot of like different types of sex. Like even with kink, you'll find like a lot of people who tend to try kink are like very, very sex positive and they've been doing the work for like eons and decades and doing the thing, but like they don't want, people tend to not want to try something until they feel they're very, very good at sex, which then goes back to the whole thing of like, when do you know you're very, very good at sex? Because you may be very, very good at sex with one person and then the next person they're like, but what are you doing? Why are you like this?
True.
So, yeah, so like people tend to not ask about tantric sex, but it's fine. It's in the book. So now no one needs to ask me. It's in the book.
And so for people who've just joined us, and of course, thank you for staying with us, for those who joined from the beginning. So the contents of the book, I mean, it's really, it's quite a thick book, and I love it so much. And because you touch on so many important topics, and I'm just going to go through some of them. You talk about, you know, getting tested or not. You know, on having sex. You talk about how to end the sex, breaking up like a boss. Love that. Slipping and sliding. Yes. Why and how you should use lube. You talk about faking orgasms. You talk about squirting, prepping for anal sex. Very important. A common question. You talk about the chains and the whips. Kink 101. Snacking on someone. Honey, I think I want to hear about that one. Snacking on someone. And you're talking about how to use food. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know that. Okay. I want a little bit of that. Please go on. It was on page 151, but I think you know the content, Mus. You don't need all these references. But for everyone at home, it's page 151. You talk about all the things. And I can tell you that people ask a lot about food and sex, right? So, yeah, I love that you've included it in this way.
Like what? Are people coming and asking you whether they can like put food inside themselves?
Literally, every day.
Yeah. Every day.
Every day. And it ranges from like the most exotic of food to like the basic stuff of like yogurt and things.
Oh my God. No, so with this section, like and I have to put the pure on blast, like, and I love the way you keep asking about his sections. I wrote sections too, you know. So like with this section, because he's a chef, right? And I was about to ask my partner as if this is not a live thing, but like, yeah, no, he makes ice cream. And for those of you based in Cape Town, go find Tappy Tappy, great ice cream, amazing. So he like cooks things. So, and he's very he really believes in the power of sensuality and food and like everything from like the creation of food, like the making it to the putting it on your body to the like after thing and the showering. Like for him, it's a whole process, right?
Well,
So
that sounds like a lovely foreplay.
right, because he's like, because part of like what he writes is about like, you know, watching your partner cook. And you know your partner can cook with nothing on, but please wear an apron, especially if you're frying something.
Yeah,
We don't need don't be that person like without an apron. So like
please do.
for him,
No,
him,
carry
it's
on.
like
Sorry.
for him it's like a whole process with the food and the preparation and the different things you can use and the things that are essential. And it's not necessarily always about just like inserting fruits inside yourself, but like the whole experience.
Enjoying. Yeah. And now it leads me to your demystifying of the climax portfolio, different ways of making orgasms happen.
Yeah, you must diversify your portfolio, fam. Every day,
Please
penis and
tell
vagina.
us, give us the tea.
Like you must just like penis and vagina every day. No, like so you know, I'm just gonna expose myself because in my mind it is just you and me here. Like boob orgasms for me, 10 out of 10.
Really?
10 out of 10, definitely recommend. Yeah, nothing else, just boobs. Just boobs.
What?
Fam.
Yo, I love it. Diversify your portfolio.
Yeah, like just think about like new ways and like because I think with that chapter was about finding new ways, finding different erogenous zones, right? And it's like it just keeps leading back to that whole thing of just expand your sexual mind slowly but surely. Like no one's trying to be like all of a sudden do new things, but like you know, try touching there, try touching here. Like we get stuck in that same script of like bring a penis, put it in a vagina, orgasms will happen, because that's like what we're told in every like space and shape and form. That's what we're told. But if you find different ways, you will find different ways of orgasming, and it'll be just
you even
amazing.
talk about skin orgasm. Fam,
Yes.
calm now.
Fam, it's an organ. How about tongue?
Yo.
It's an organ. Or am I lying? My biology.
No, you are correct. You are correct. And and you talk about mental orgasm. Now, I have a few friends who will tell you, "Oh, I love people who are so intelligent. I get drawn to intelligence to a point of an orgasm."
Yeah, like I think with them they're like, oh, I'm attracted, but you can have someone, because if you think about something like sexting, there's a lot of ways. There's a big part of sexting that is leading to a mental orgasm. No one is sitting there being like, hey, I've put my penis here, I've done this, or I've licked there. No, they're typing it, and you're like, woo, 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 hey, and you can't breathe. That like sexting. It's like it's not even like the next level things. If you've sexted, you've been on your way to a mental orgasm. You have been on your way to a mental orgasm. Yeah. And like, oh, I'm attracted to smart people. No, like where your mind is being massaged with ideas and you're like,
yeah, I think you have experience in this. You are just and you speak about ruined orgasms. A ruined orgasm. The mutual enjoyment of orgasms that are disrupted at the very last minute, leaving the person with an unfulfilled climax and possibly still horny and sexually frustrated.
yeah, that's a thing.
That happens
you get
more than we want to admit.
Yes, but sometimes it happens on purpose. Because have you ever had that thing? And I'm about to put you on the spot where you don't come, and it's still inside you, like some sort of animal, like you, and you can still feel it. No, okay, it's fine.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, it's not necessarily negative. It's not necessarily negative.
No. Like it's no, it's not. So it's like one of those things where you do it on purpose, and you get to keep that pre-orgasm feeling. You get to keep it still in your body, because like there is a release with orgasm.
And that now connects the
But this
dots
time you're
with
like,
that
no,
tantric.
it's still in there. Yes. So like it all interweaves and interlinks. So like instead of it being ruined and like, oh my gosh, somebody walked in or my phone rang, it's like it's still in there, and the person is like, okay, pause, like no, and then you can continue, because that multiple orgasm life, fam. Hey, like
The build up. I
it's a
love
whole
it.
thing.
You're giving us the know-how, guys. This is the book. I'm telling you. Get you some. You're gonna learn a lot, and that's what I loved. I mean, I'm still learning so much. Through your work and through your words. I love it, and I'm actually very proud of you. Just if I haven't said it enough, I really am.
Thank you, my love. Thank you.
And you talk about squirting. Yes, is that Jane? No, Jane is coming back on.
Wrap
Hey,
it up.
Jane.
Hi,
I
friend.
heard squirting and I just come back.
It's also excitement, you see, because now it's the foreplay, then we had the diversifying of our portfolios, then we held back with a little bit of orgasms there, and now we are squirting.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know we've got a couple of questions, so
Okay.
I'll come back. I'll come back in 3 or 4 minutes to tell you what they say.
Okay.
See you
Very
soon.
mature.
Cool. And so what I love also, which we haven't spoken about, but I think we can touch on it quickly, is this is what you taught me, right, when on social media. And I think it's one of the first conversations we had. I don't know if you remember, but we talked about how to sex properly and safer, and how to then take nudes safely, and how to share nudes in a way that doesn't completely leave you exposed. And I love that you've put this in here. And you actually say hands off my nudes, breaking down the non-consensual sending of nudes. But you also talk then about sending fire nudes safely, the basics and the technical stuff. I love that. I love that. And I think maybe it's because a lot of young people still ask me about, is it okay to be sexting and sending nudes? Just tell me a little bit about your tips and the lowdown on sending fire nudes in a safer way.
Okay, so I think the one thing that I got taught, and Casey Blake taught it, I'll go Casey. So was like, they learned this phrase, eyes or the prize. I think that is the most basic thing. If you're going to send a nude, either your eyes or the prize. Like, you don't try and be mixing all up everything, right? Right? Not the both, right? And it's just stuff like using platforms that delete your nudes. So my favorite is Signal, right? So Signal is number one, it's secure. So hacking and stuff like that. But also there's this option where you can send something and it only lasts one view. So if the person opens it and closes it, it's gone. It's not saved on their phone.
Now, I didn't know that.
The technology is ready. Snapchat came up because of nudes, because there was the disappearing picture. That's why Snapchat came up. Why do you think that company is so expensive? But so it's just figuring out the different digital ways. And one of my favorite tips is putting a marker on your nude. So I'm all for recycling nudes. If you take one and it's fire, it's okay. You recycle it, reuse it, it's fine. But putting maybe a little watermark. So say the nude, God willing, gets leaked, then you can see who leaked it. If you put a little stamp,
an identifying marker on the one you're sending to particular people.
Yeah.
That's actually quite smart. So it's like digital mapping in a way, so you know where it leaked from.
No, so you're okay, so me, I sent nudes to you, and now they're on the internet.
Oh, this is some
I only sent them
amazing
to you.
tip.
Why are they there? And then we can come for each other. So I think it's because also the legislation around nudes is catching up and stuff like that, and defamation, etc. So no, we must be better, and we must be more nudes. Also, please moisturize, guys. Moisturize before you send nudes. That's all I ask. If people out here like this and sending nudes,
Have you been
No one wants
traumatized
that.
before?
Fam, it's been a mess, but it's okay.
Oh, you kill me. You kill me. And Jen, when you're ready, I think you can come back and we can deal with the questions from everyone who's joined us for this wonderful
Cool.
book discussion.
Bookings.
I just want to start with you guys have got a lot of fans, so I want to start with some comments that aren't questions. But I know at book launches that's a very common thing to get. But I think they're quite. Just I'm sure you know some of these people, so you don't. But I just want to show you what people are saying.
Oh, Almatejo. Hey, fam. Santa. Oh.
And there's a lot of questions, so just bear with me while I go through. I like this comment as well. I like consent is more than just yes or no. I think people are really taking your conversation to heart. And the Katlejo says, please fix my sex life in an Instagram post. Thank you.
A mess.
Cool.
And
So yeah, we just got like a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot. You guys should go and check out Facebook and YouTube afterwards and see all your fans commenting. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Here's another one that's. Here's another one that's not also. It's not really a question, but I think maybe if people are appreciating little tidbits that you've said, maybe it's a good opportunity to maybe just expand on that idea a little bit or something. This person Katlejo says, love the idea of sex being a process and having the space to perfect the simple things. Simple in inverted commas.
Yeah.
So maybe you can just
absolutely
unpack that a bit.
Yeah. So Tiffany, I think that's why you call this a guide, right? Because you literally want to give us the step and the down low of how to simplify our lives. I know I like what there. How to simplify our sex lives, but also give us new information in simple ways. And I think that's why I love your book, is that you are giving us hard concepts, but also in simple ways that we can incorporate in our daily lives, and it doesn't seem so daunting. So maybe you can also share with us, your idea about why this book and why you wrote it in this tone, because tone is also important.
So like I wanted it to be simple, but then I wanted folks to like upgrade, right? So like, and also, when you revise, because I think also with me, when I was writing this book, there was a lot of revision happening where I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. And I forgot about that in terms of having conversations. And even though it's your work, sometimes like these things almost become like second nature. And then you realize that you need to brush up on your knowledge. So like, I think like the way Katlejo was saying about like perfecting the simple things, sometimes it's okay to go back to basics and be like, yo, let me figure that thing out. So yeah, no, guys, we must just try and upgrade even the simple basic knowledge we have.
And also it helps with expectations, right? I think a lot of the time, because people see communication outside of consent, it's hard to then say what you like, even outside of sex. Because if I'm having sex with you and you can't tell me what feels good in the moment, it's even harder when we are not even having sex to then have these conversations about what went down, during sex. So I think for me, it's also the entire process before, during, and after. It's not just about the act; it's everything around it. And that's why I like even the way that you've structured the book. In terms of different sections. I mean, you even talk about sex for work, for cash. The sex work in South Africa. And for us, it may be complex. Oh my gosh, sex work. But for some people, it may be a very simple thing, and they just need to know safer sex tools. They need to know about consent and all of that stuff. Why was it important for you to include sex work in this book?
Because it is such an important unspoken about thing. It's just clouded in all this mystery, right? And like, and I know personally, even I have been to that place where when I was like much younger, I was like, sex work. And I think like important to like just debunk so much stuff and like just have that conversation. And also, the older I got, the more friends I knew who were in sex work. So I was like, guys, fam, can I just rep my friends though? Can I just? So yeah, no, it was important to just have all those myths debunked.
Nice. And so we didn't really go into squirting. We kind of teased about it, and then went on to the comments. So in terms of squirting, I don't know if you get this question a lot, but it's like, can I squirt every single time? And am I okay if I don't squirt every single time? So like, what's your verdict on squirting? And is it even a thing?
It is a thing, but for me, if it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's fine. Like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, it's fine. And I think people put too much pressure on squirting, right? Because it's like that whole thing of like, if I don't squirt, then I didn't show that I had like an incredible time, right? Was the sex mediocre? I've known people who squirt in a moment and the sex was okay. Yeah, it's fine. Like, what is it? It's fine. It's cool. It's chill. Yeah.
And you say, is it really the tears of a unicorn escaping through the vulva? Love it. The tears of a unicorn escaping through the vulva. Love it. Love it.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I
We
mean,
just come
I think
online to giggle at each other. We really have come online.
that might bring us to next.
Sorry, Jen?
No, I was saying that might bring us to the next question that I have, which is, Tiff, what was the biggest lesson you gained from the process and involved in writing the book?
Okay, that I really don't know as much as I think I do. Like, there's still so much to know. Like, I think that was the most daunting thing. Where I'm like, but I wrote a book. Am I not like? But why is there still so much to know? Because there'd be times when I'll be like researching something or having a conversation or experiencing something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've only scratched the tip of the iceberg, and it was daunting at times, but then it was really fun. It was actually so nice to know that there is still so much, like so much to know. That was my biggest and best lesson while writing. Yeah.
Love it. How many minutes do we have, Jen? I think it's almost time.
Yeah.
Are we good?
Yes, almost time. I think we can fit. I think, well, I mean, we are free to do whatever we like.
Love. You're not gonna get kicked out of anything. Nice.
No, we're not. We can maybe fit a couple more in. And this is quite a nice one, I think. The more you speak about the book, the more it sounds like a tool that can be used for teenagers, a tool that can either start conversations between adults and teens, or one that can more conservative parents can sneak into Christmas gifts. Would you agree with that?
I say yes. That thing, do it.
All of those things. Do all of them. Especially the Christmas gift thing.
Love it. You deserve all the coins, by the way. So.
Yeah.
And I think
yes.
Oh. Sex ed wasn't loyal.
And there's one more.
That's true. And we're still fighting to make sure that sex ed in school is loyal, but yeah, we'll get there someday. One day.
Asanda asks, what was your favorite thing that you discovered while researching the book?
I don't. Oh my gosh! I'm like running through all the chapters in my mind. Weirdly enough, it was, and it wasn't really a discovery, but it was more of like rechanging and like recalibrating my mind about one night stands. That was weirdly a weird chapter to write because I wrote it and then I gave it to my little cousin, and my little cousin, who is like 21, 22, something around those lines, was like, no, this is trash. like my little cousin was like, this is trash and you are judgy and it's nice there by you in your long-term relationship, but like you need to reconfigure how you think about one night stands. And I had to rewrite the whole chapter. And it was like actually thinking about, you know, the amount of respect we put in like shorter sexual experiences and discovering my own bias, which was very fun to discover, but then also discovering that there is this layer of like ways in which people are doing one night stands that is like super respectful and super amazing, and people out here ordering Ubers for each other and being like, this doesn't mean I'm catching feelings, but yo, did you get home? Because like the streets aren't safe, so can I just find out if you got home? So that I think was my favorite thing, and also discovering that my cousin is very wise. Yes.
That's wonderful. And it's funny how, like, because we are older, the assumption is that we know best or we know the most. And it's so nice when we can open yourself up to be also taught and influenced, by younger people. Because I think at the end of the day, we are also trying to do for them what we didn't have. And I think it's so important to actually be open to learning always. And it's coming through in your book. And I think that's why I think for you, interacting and having other contributors was so important, because it is really important to have in part of demystifying sex and destigmatizing sex, to affirm all types of experiences.
It was. And also learning from my little cousin was just weird. That was weird. But where are these blogs?
Love it.
Aletta asks if can you share the links to the blog and social handles and things where the ones that you were speaking about during the launch, I guess. We also have a request that you share your own social handles so that people can follow you.
Okay.
I've got
go
some
first?
on the comment on Facebook.
Is that what we're doing? Oh yay! Can we do that? Can we drop them on the comments
as well? Because
I don't know how to do this.
We got you. You don't have to know how to do that.
Guys, technology is not my friend. Yeah.
And the blog post, Aletta asking.
Nice, and I'm just being messy in the chat. I'm being messy on the whole lot. All Africa, yes. All Africa is the easiest. See, there you go. Like a whole queen. Put my Twitter. There we go.
I know everything.
A whole queen. Alice. But yeah. Oh, and
you'll find. Aletta's asking where to find the book. So you'll find the book at all the usual bookstores and independent bookstores. And here's the thing, right? If you go to a bookstore and you don't find the book, ask them to order it for you. Literally, ask them to order it for you. And of course, Amazon.com also has the book available, and you can download it if you are still in quarantine or in spaces where you won't find the book. And yes, and look for independent bookstores. There are a few people on Twitter. I know Cheeky Natives is also a cheeky merchant as well. They're selling books as well, and you can look for them on Twitter. And of course, DM Tiffany. I've dropped her handle at Tiff Mugo on Twitter. And yeah, I mean, I'm there. I'll tell you where to get the book also. Get the book. It's fabulous. Fabulous. I love it.
This is why I love you. I'm just sitting here grinning, and I'm just like, she'll tell you the things. She'll fix
I
this.
will. And she'll sign it for you. She'll sign it for you. And Natives will make sure that the books get to you signed with a quirky, cheeky, great sexual message.
It will be great. No pressure or anything, but it will be great.
Yeah. And I think, darling, you have people on the international countries here as well, which is amazing. So you see the implications. You are an international bae. This is
international bae. I will change my Twitter handle to that. International bae. Like,
yeah, let's believe it.
Oh my gosh.
Nice comment to end off on.
Ashy nudes must fall.
Alma, Dr. Tlaleng.
They must. Oh my days. No, ashy nudes must fall. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, you see now. This is your impact, honey. This is your impact. Hashtag ashy nudes must fall.
Oh my God.
There are a couple more comments on Facebook. Well, more, people just saying yes, queen and such like. So, if you want to go into those, you can do. And we just want to thank Kwela for partnering to host this launch with us. And we want to thank Dr. T and Tiffany for joining us, because we think, this was such a fantastic conversation, funny, insightful, and I think like really important. So yeah.
Thank you, Tiff, for writing this book. I'm so proud of you. I love you. What else can I say? Love it, love it, love it. And I know you're going to be a bestseller soon. Well done.
Thank you for sitting with me, my baby. Like, I stay stressed.
I know, but we did it.
We did it.
Launch, one for the books. So.
Yes. And happy anniversary. Hello. 1 year in what, 2 days?
Yeah. 1 year in 2 days. Yes. 1 year in 2 days. My book is called Dr. T, A Guide to Sexual Health and Pleasure. And yeah, this is what we are about.
Where is it? It's on my shelf. Okay. I was going to run and get it, but that's weird.
No, honey, we're here now. Focus. We are here.
Okay, fine. Well, it's at CNA. It's at CNA for Women's Month on the shelf. I saw it.
Oh, is it a massive canvas?
Yes,
okay.
It's like they're doing the Women's Month thing. It's there sitting.
Nice.
The whole thing.
Well, now I'll have good company. How's that?
Good times, my angel.
Proud of you. And guys, please, she deserves all your coins and all your support. And I always say, buy one for yourself and gift one to someone else. Because that's how we roll, pass it forward. But anyway, congratulations, my friend. I love you very much. Very, very proud. And thank you, Jen. And thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. And I mean it. People from Germany and Croatia are also saying hello. So I'm not making it up. Thank you, everybody, from all the different spaces that you guys are coming from, for supporting Tiff. And congratulations. Yeah.
Now go and buy
Thank you, my love. Yes.
Here are your flowers.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.